Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Alameda County Department of Environmental Health's community meeting for Land C's proposed redevelopment of the Alameda Marina Townhomes on Clement Street. My name is Tracy Craig, and I will be moderating this meeting. Next slide, please, John. For those of you that just joined, this is a webinar. That means you didn't have any audio or video feed. For folks that have cameras and are working on computers, I've promoted you to a panelist status, which means if you'd like to turn on your camera, we'll be able to see you. You can also unmute yourself and ask questions or comment at any time. We have a couple people that have phoned in, and I believe if you'd like to comment, you need to hit *6 to unmute. Is that correct, John? Yes, that's correct. Okay, so this is the site. And it gets a little complicated here, so bear with me. The blue portion of the site is Alameda Marina. And I think I had that right. 1 second, let me get the name here. Alameda Marina, who's the master developer for the entire marina. The Lot 5 townhomes is Land & Sea's project, and they are proposing, or they'll be building townhomes. Purpose of the meeting tonight is to discuss the cleanup plan or corrective action plan that will support the redevelopment of that property. We understand that there's been a few complaints about dust management on the larger blue site, and there's also some activity going on the yellow site. We will be addressing that tonight as well and telling you our plans to make sure that the site is buttoned up, that dust is being managed appropriately, and that you will not be, so you're not experiencing any more off-site impacts. With everybody's permission tonight, what I'd like to do is, since this meeting was originally to discuss the corrective action plan for the Marina Townhomes, so Land C's project, I'd like to go through that first and talk about the project itself, the cleanup plan that's proposed by Land C, and then Alameda County's oversight of that, and then what we'll be doing for that project to control dust and to make sure that the project is conducted in a manner that protects the health and safety of the community. That includes some lessons learned recently from what's just gone on. So we'd like to discuss that first and take input on that. And then from there, we'll move to discussing the larger site, what Alameda County Department of Environmental Health has just done to stop work at the site until we can get control over what's going on there and we can stop some of the dust impacts from impacting the community. So I'm hoping everybody is okay with that. If you're not okay with that, will you just unmute and let me know? I'll give you just a moment to do that. Okay, and I think that is our plan. And I've just noticed, 1 minute, I'm going to promote somebody here as well. I just noticed that Andrew Thomas, the planning director from the city of Alameda, has joined us. So I'm Tracy Craig. I'm moderating this meeting. With me tonight is Dylan Rowe, who is the Chief of Land and Water for the Alameda County Department of Environmental Health. Dylan, want to raise your hand? And also with me is Drew York, who's the project manager for the Alameda County Department of Environmental Health. And then Mark Chamberlain is also here, and he's the project sponsor for Land C. And he'll be discussing plans he's recently put in place to control dust when the corrective action plan is actually employed. Okay, next slide. Okay. The proposed development, so as I said, Land C owns the property. They are proposing a mixed-use development. It's been approved by the city of Alameda. You can read all of the specifics here. I don't need to read that to you, but what I do want to call out is Land C Homes did not contaminate the site. It had a lot of historic uses. They didn't contaminate it, but they are voluntarily cleaning up the site to support the redevelopment that they'll be doing, which is townhomes. And then, of course, the Alameda County Department of Environmental Health provides oversight of environmental activities. The city of Alameda will provide oversight of the actual construction activities. Next slide. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dylan Rowe, who once again is the Chief of Land and Water for Alameda County Department of Environmental Health.
Thanks, Tracy.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you joining us for this meeting tonight. I'm going to just preface it by saying, kind of piggybacking on what Tracy said, which is we had scheduled this meeting and sent out a fact sheet in coordination with the Land Sea developer on this townhome redevelopment to inform the neighborhood of an upcoming project. And we're and as a result of distribution of that fact sheet, we received a lot of comment from people, and it's a little tricky here, and we're going to do our best to talk about both because they are all in the same neighborhood and they are all dust generating activities, and they're going to continue to occur. The developments are going to continue to occur concurrently. So I just want to make sure that as we talk about this, Mark Chamberlain, who's on the call, and his group have not started any activities, and I have been heartened by them paying a lot of attention to the complaints that we've heard on the other development site, and we'll be talking about that as we move forward. As Tracy said, environmental health, Alameda County Environmental Health provides the oversight for remediation and mitigation measures that are implemented at the site to protect occupants of the site from historical contamination, and to protect adjacent residences from impacts from remedial activities when they are taking place. There are other agencies involved in the development of this whole length of land, and as Tracy said, Alameda. The city of Alameda is the agency that's responsible, and I'm not going to speak exactly for what they do, but they're responsible for overseeing construction and development. And Bay Area Air Quality Management District has a big role in discussion and oversight of dust monitoring. So there's a lot of agencies, and it's important for us to help you understand who those agencies are, and it's important for each of our respective agencies to do our part and respond to the complaints that we're getting on this project. So we will be having some additional interagency coordination meetings to discuss that role and how we can do better moving forward collectively on working on this project and also on the adjacent larger development project. Next slide. So this site has a lot of historic land use, and it was actually, before it was usable land, a large portion of the site was marshland that was filled back in the early 1900s. And during World War II, the site was redeveloped and used for shipbuilding, and later on repairs and decommissioning of ships. Lot 5, which is a lot that we are specifically talking about tonight, about the Land Sea development project, did not have intense building of ships, but they did have other historic land use, which included support services, warehouses, things that were used to support the shipbuilding business, dry docks. There are a lot of different kinds of usage, machine shops, barracks, all that kind of stuff. As part of a redevelopment project, we have been working with Land Sea and their environmental consultant, NGO, to conduct investigations to understand what's in the soil and what's in the groundwater and what's in soil gas at the site, to make sure that during the development we can address those issues so that the development is safe for people to occupy. And what we found was not unexpected chemicals related to historic operations and fill material. Tracy, next slide, or John. So all of those investigations, actually the investigations have been done very quickly. Mark's group, Land Sea, has put a lot of resources into characterizing the site, and all the investigation results are in a document called the Draft Corrective Action Plan. And it's available in a repository that's on, and we'll give you a link to it later, but it's a repository for the case files for this project that's located on the internet on the State Water Board's GeoTracker website. And we'll give you a link to that at the end of this meeting. And that document, it's pretty extensive, and it summarizes all of the soil, groundwater, and soil vapor results of the findings collected through 2021. And it also presents the proposed remediation and mitigation strategies to address contamination in soil and soil vapor. Next slide. So what the corrective actions include are excavation of soil that's been impacted with chemicals of concern from historic land use. And they are in, it's been delineated in certain areas, identified in certain areas, and excavations can be as deep as 7 feet below ground surface in some locations, shallower in other locations. And that material will be loaded onto trucks and will be disposed of at a licensed disposal facility offsite. Groundwater will be managed during those excavations. Groundwater is pretty shallow here. And so if groundwater is encountered during the excavation, it will be managed appropriately through permits to discharge to the sanitary sewer, or will be transported, also will be containerized and transported to a licensed disposal facility. Those agencies that are in charge of discharging permits for discharge to sanitary sewer are non-environmental health. So again, there are multiple agencies involved in this project. And I think basically that's based on the findings, those are the corrective actions that are going to be implemented that will remove historic contamination in soil. Next slide. The other contaminant, next slide. John. Okay. The other contaminants found at the site are in soil gas, and soil gas is within the pores of soil. Generally across the entire site, there are some impacts to soil gas from something called chlorinated solvents. We have not found the source of that, and often you don't find the source of that. So likely, hopefully, because sometimes there's a little bit of hope involved in looking for sources of chlorinated solvents. We believe that the soil excavation of the impacted soil will also remove any of the localized sources of the soil vapor impacts. And as a mitigation measure, during the construction of the building, there will be something called engineering controls or vapor mitigation controls. They're basically plastic barriers, sets of piping that are put underneath the building, collect vapors, and then vent those vapors to the atmosphere. Next slide. So I'm going to stop this right here before I start this, because this set of slides is a standard set of slides that environmental health has in all of our community meetings. And we take this very seriously. And we tell our developers that we're working with that one of the most important things that they need to do during remediation of a site is that the community needs to be protected. And so the community, meaning both the construction workers that work at the site, and then people that live or work adjacent to the site, are protected from any potential impacts related to ingestion of contaminated soil or skin contact with contaminated soil or inhalation of dust. And as part of our approval process of a remedial action plan, we require methods to protect the public during all environmental work. And that was a requirement. So that will be a requirement on Lansing's townhome project. That was a requirement on the larger Alameda Marina project. And until today, we actually did not know how much of a breakdown in the protection of the community was happening until we received complaints from the public in response to our distribution of a fact sheet for this project. And as a result of that, Drew, the caseworker, and I went to the site today and shut down the work that was occurring on the larger project, and are going to be working with that developer to stabilize the site and to come up with a plan that will correct the lack of the community protection measures that has clearly been happening. And will not allow the work to resume until this site is under control. So the slides that you're going to see as we go through here about protecting the community are measures that we are going to work really hard to make sure happen going forward. And we're going to work really hard to understand why this communication broke down with the other developer. And Mark is going to talk a little bit in a minute about measures that he is going to implement to ensure this does not happen on his project. So next slide. So these are standard measures that should be taken and that are required in the community, that there is real-time perimeter air monitoring going on, that there is air monitoring results and reporting, that there is appropriate dust control, that there's appropriate stockpile management, which means covering of stockpiles, that there's a lot of different things. Direct loading means you put excavated soil straight into trucks rather than stockpiling it, and sometimes that's a logistics issue. And then stormwater management, and signs that make it very clear who to call and who to contact when there are issues with dust control. Next slide, please. Truck managements and routes, having clearly defined truck routes, limiting idling time of trucks, preventing track out, cleaning streets, making sure the conditions of the trucks are good before they leave the site and while they're traveling on the streets, appropriate training of drivers, all kinds of protection measures that are designed and should be enforced by multiple agencies to make sure that the community is not impacted during a construction project. Again, I will say that I went to the site today, and the measures that should be implemented are not being implemented at this site. And I'm not sure why. We're going to be working with our sister agencies to understand that breakdown. We're going to work on communication protocols and figuring out who's responsible for what. And we're going to be working on holding the developer accountable for making sure both the developers, Mark, who has not had any violations yet, but Mark on making sure that he runs a tidy ship, and then working with Alameda Marina to correct their operations before they're allowed to start work again. Next slide. So I'm going to turn this over just for a minute to Mark, who is with Lancy, and I asked him to talk to you about measures that he has been working on implementing starting today, over and above what we are already requesting of him due to the volume of complaints that we have seen today. And I asked him to do this because I'm going to hold Mark accountable. Mark's going to hold his group accountable. And we're going to make sure that going forward on his projects, we do not have the same kind of issues that you have been seeing in your community for the past several months. Mark?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Chamberlain. I'm with Lancy Homes. So I understand the sensitive issues that's been going on lately there, and I can tell you one thing that you will see a very different operation once my company gets in there and commences our work. We always have an on-site manager that is available. We have a large sign that's put at the front of the property, indicating who the property owner is, who the direct contact is on site that's available, and with a bunch of other information like truck routes and so forth, and the length of time of construction. This is a very sensitive matter for us. We're taking it very seriously, as I just said, so seriously that we've hired an independent dust control specialist that will put monitors around our site and monitor them, and they will have authority to stop work immediately if there is dust mitigation leaving the site, and they will have ensure that any dust control measures are instigated before any work commences. That's over and above what we usually do. So that's an independent third-party consultant that I have no control over. They're hired to do that. In addition to that, we have construction entrances that we put in that stop trucks from tracking dirt out into the streets. We will be having street sweepers running up and down the street. I can tell you that I've been doing this for over 30 years. I'm not new to this game. I know what I'm doing, and you'll see a very different operation. And the other thing I have to add is, our operation is different from what's been happening in the past. We have a smaller site. We're probably doing 50% less work than what Alameda Marina is doing. So, it's a significant less impact to the environment. But even so, we're taking very, very stringent measures to move forward with this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And I would just like to say, as Mark said, there'll be site signage. John Permani is going to put my phone number, my cell phone, I'm Tracy Craig, in the chat, and you can call me at any time, morning, noon, night, weekends, if there's an issue, and I'll make sure that Mark gets the information and Dylan gets the information. So we'd also like to hear from you, what type of communications you would like and what works for you. So if you have ideas, you can either raise your hand and let us know at the comment period, or you can put something in the chat section. Okay, next slide. We just have a couple more slides and open it up for public comments. This is our schedule. Right now we're having the meeting tonight, September 1st. Hard to believe it's September, but it is. You have a chance to comment on the corrective action plan for this project, and that's running through August 23rd to September 24th. You can send comments to Drew, and we have his address at the last slide. You can also call or email your comments as well. Site setup and excavation will probably begin about September, ongoing construction, and of course communications will be ongoing as well. Next slide, John. Thanks. Okay, and here's how to get more information. So the Water Board has the GeoTracker website that they maintain, and Alameda County taps into that. The corrective action plan is on there. If you can't find it or need help, you can call me and I can help navigate, or I can send you the link or even the document. This is Drew York's number. Drew, raise your hand again. It's project manager, so he's the one doing work day to day. You can call him, you can call me. You can also call Nicole at Lancy Homes, which is Mark, she works for Mark. And I think that concludes our presentation. So first, I'd like to get comments on Lancy's corrective action plan. Again, that's the cleanup plan that will clear the way for the site to be redeveloped. Any kind of comments you have. This time we can also, and once that's done, or you can also comment on just the dust you've been experiencing and the comments that Dylan made about what Alameda County Department of Environmental Health will be doing to address that. A couple things I want to note. Brendan Murphy is also on the phone, and he is with Alameda Marina, which is the larger site that was just shut down temporarily while we work on better dust control. And then also Andrew Thomas, who's the Director of Planning for the City of Alameda, is also here. So I am going to open this up for public comments. I'd love it if people would let us see your faces, but if you don't want to, I get it. So please feel free to comment. Tell us what's on your mind.
While you're thinking about whether you want to raise your hand, we will be responding to each correspondence that we have received to you personally. And I encourage you to reach out to us if you want to discuss that more, if you don't feel comfortable in a public setting to talk about it. You have Tracy Andrew's number, and I can get patched into that also. So I just want to say, if you are not comfortable talking about it tonight, please reach out to us if you have questions, and we will be responding to you in a written comment to each of your questions.
Okay, and I think I have one panelist that raised their hand, but here we go. So I think you can unmute yourself. 1925 Lafayette. I'm assuming that's your address.
Right. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Good.
Glad you joined.
Well, thank you for stopping operations today at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I took photos of the location, and they were still using their backhoes on the stockpiles. So I don't know at what time the stop work happened, but it certainly was still ongoing when I took my photos. Also, I'm very concerned at what does it really mean about being held accountable when in June I reported the dust situation and the stockpile situation to the city of Alameda in June. They did go look at the site, but now it's August, September, as you noted, September 1st. And you had to stop work. What the heck?
Why didn't you stop in June?
Why isn't there oversight in the daily basis, like described by Mark Chamberlain for this future project? Why is this current project not having oversight daily?
Why did the city allow this to happen?
I'm sorry, I'm agitated, but
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Ridiculous.
Why didn't this is Linda, Suzanne's sister. I need to understand why the city didn't have oversight of this project from day one. Why it took one of the neighbors to actually highlight the issue to the city for the city to do something.
So we have a couple of things going on. First, I'm going to say, I'm going to let Dylan speak to that. And remember, Dylan's Alameda County Department of Environmental Health. So they oversee the cleanup when they're working in contaminated soils. And then there's the larger project, the construction, so vertical grading and things. And that's actually the city of Alameda, and Andrew Thomas is on the line. So after Dylan speaks, maybe Andrew would like to chime in. I do want to just say that we recognize there's an issue. We are, you got it, we're stopping it. Wish it had happened sooner, but it didn't. And we're going to look at how the communication broke down there too. And Suzanne, I am happy to call you and let you know what we find out. So just want you to recognize that, and then I'll flip this over to Dylan.
So Linda and Suzanne, I'd be agitated too. I'm agitated and I don't live there. So environmental health had some strict protocols and reporting requirements, weekly status updates, meetings with Alameda Marina, and we were not told what was going on. The communication that we received did not tell the story of what was going on. And I would like to come out to sites, all sites more often, but we are a very busy agency and we put protocols in place and we have consultants and we have developers. And then we rely on our other agencies to be doing also oversight. And so when I was under the impression, and I had no reason not to believe it, that this site was going smoothly. I was told it was. I was told that there was no dust complaints. In those exact words. And we approved a scope of work that does not look like the magnitude of the work that is going on out there. So When we started working with Mark's group to get his project up and rolling and distributed this fact sheet, we were shocked to get the correspondence from you and others about this, which is why Drew and I both went to the site today. And I think we were probably out there, Suzanne, around 3, maybe Drew, somewhere around there, and found, it took some time to find the developer, and then we met with them and told them to shut down the work. So I would like to have you, Drew's number is up on the screen right now. If you see any movement going on, I would like you to notify Drew. And I know that you have busy lives and it's not your responsibility to notify people. Sometimes the nature of the beast and the nature of government and the nature of staffing, that is what's required. And that's why we do community outreach, because we need eyes and ears to let us know what's going on. What's been going on is not acceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. And I do not shut down sites very often. And we shut this down immediately upon coming to this site. And it will not start back up until we have a better understanding of why it has broken down and a better understanding with all the agencies involved in monitoring this site, and a much better plan, and quite frankly, way more controls from this developer on site, similar to what Mark is saying he's going to do. We're going to require the same thing of this developer. We work on a lot of remediation sites, and controls that we have in place, that were in place on this site, work. I do not know why it did not work. I do not know why we were not being told the truth about this, and we will get to the bottom of it. And so that is all I can tell you, is that we will get to the bottom of it, and we will make sure that there is correction that are going to take place before this work gets started again.
And then Dylan, I think it's fair to say that you'll be watching closely from here on out as well.
Okay, well, this is Suzanne. I appreciate that. However, what I don't know is if that stockpile of dirt is toxic or not. And I also want to know, what the heck do I do with all the dust that is now covering my entire property? The roof, the siding, the sidewalks, everything. What do I do about that? I can't put a little street sweeper on my roof.
So
what am I supposed to do about that?
I'm going to address the comment about what's in the soil. And we had worked with Alameda Marina and their consultant Wood to characterize the soil and kind of put it in categories. It's not clear to me. It's not being managed the way it was supposed to be managed. And so the first thing that we want to do is get all stockpiles covered, and then I want stockpiles removed. Actually, they are not going to sit there and stay like that. And so what we have asked, and we have asked for it by Friday, is a very detailed site map, photographs, volumes, characterization of the types of soil, where they are. We have asked for that to be submitted to us so that we can understand what is there. Our understanding of what was there differs from what we saw today. So what we're going to try and do is resolve that, and then get that information, and then we will be providing some additional, we'll be making that information available to you. We have also asked for some risk analysis associated with those stockpiles, depending on what we find out, if it differs from what we had approved. And so we're going to be working with the developer. Well, we're not working with the developer. We have requested submittal of documentation by the end of the day Friday. So that is a piece that where we have to wait to see what it says. And so I'm not going to say anything before that, because I don't know. There are things that have happened at this site that I am not clear about what happened. And so we're going to look at that, and we will then be making sure that the community understands what that information is, and we will be coming to the community to discuss that more. What I cannot tell you, and this is where I need these sister agencies to come into play. There's a lot of earth movement that's going on out there that is surprising to me. There are uncovered stockpiles that are near waterways, that are near adjacent neighborhoods. And it is my understanding that there have been complaints. We have not gotten a complaint. Today and yesterday were the first days that Alameda County got complaints, and we moved quickly. I'm not sure what has happened about the complaints to the other agencies, but we are going to be working with our sister agencies to try to find out what's going on and to be able to see what we do going forward. With respect to mitigation on your property, I'm going to turn this over to Brendan Murphy, the developer. I would like Brendan to address these complaints. I would like Brendan to address how he is going to work with these constituents who have been impacted by these by site work that has not been in a controlled manner. So Brendan, you want to take over?
Yes, absolutely. And the work, we have stopped the work. The only thing you'll see tomorrow, Suzanne and Linda, is workers actively covering piles. We apologize sincerely if you had a complaint to the city in June. That's a breakdown. We've checked all of our records. We were not notified by the city of the complaint. So we apologize. We take responsibility for that because we need to find out where that breakdown was. We did hear from you this week, and I think Sean Murphy spoke with you on the phone specifically about your complaint. So we apologize that we didn't know about your complaint in June. I will talk with the Director of Public Works and Andrew Thomas, the Planning Director, and find out how to fix that so that we're immediately notified. We will make this right. As it relates to your property, we've offered, we'd like to walk the property with you when you are available, or one of your representatives. And of course, we would obviously clean your property, no question. But we take this very seriously. This was not a good day for us. We're not proud of how the site looks today, but we're committed to making it right immediately.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Thank you. I can tell you, I'm sorry, I said June. I actually called on July 13th. I
Okay.
talked to Jody Owens.
Great,
of the
thank you.
Manager's Department.
Great.
He sent a clean water specialist named Dylan Hammond
Yes.
and went to inspect on July 15th. 5
Okay.
points were called out to be fixed and addressed, and that they were to have been done by July 21. And frankly, as of July 20th, the day before they were supposed to finish doing their fixes, nothing was covered, and it still hasn't been covered, as
Okay,
you saw today.
Yes, we will absolutely fix that. Thank you for giving me that information so that I can track down those folks and make sure that we get that communication string corrected. I apologize. Tomorrow.
So this is Linda. I don't understand why you're blaming the city of Alameda that you didn't get
not.
notice of a complaint when you should know what you need to do to manage possible contaminated soil when you're right across the street from a neighborhood. So I don't understand why the fact that you didn't get a complaint from the city of Alameda has anything to do with your inappropriate business activities.
Understood, and we will correct it. Again, we apologize. We will correct it and make it right immediately. I'm not going to give a bad excuse. That's not, your time is more valuable than that. We
Well,
apologize and
I-
it'll be
For an
fixed.
excuse, I'm not asking for an excuse. I'm asking for an answer.
Understood.
Linda, I think that mistakes were made, clearly, and they'll be rectified. And I don't think we're going to get a clear answer of why that was tonight. And so I think I'm going to let us leave that there tonight because I think that might digress into something else. But I do want to know with Suzanne, are you comfortable following up with Brendan? Do you on
Sure,
getting
I'll
your
follow
property
up.
looked at? Okay, good.
Sure,
Just wanted
I'll
to make
follow
sure.
up with Brendan.
Great.
Thank
And then
you.
we have a question in the chat. What are the legal hours of operation? Weekdays and weekends both? Dylan?
So I'm going to defer to the city, Alameda County, that there are noise and work hour ordinances, regulations that the city has, and I don't know what those are.
This is Brendan Dillon. If Andrew Thomas is on, he can answer. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
he's still on.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Hey, Andrew,
Andrew,
you want to unmute?
while you're
We'll give him
unmuting,
a
Andrew.
minute. We'll
Yeah,
give him a
Andrew,
minute.
while you're unmuting.
Yeah,
Okay.
can we, I think I'm
Brendan, give him
unmuted.
a moment, please. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, just a request. Can we, hold on a second. I'm trying to can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can't see you, but we can hear you. Now
Yeah,
we
I'm trying to
can see you,
take
yeah.
yeah, can we take down the screen? We've been all staring at this for more information screen for the last 10
Great.
minutes. It'd be nice if we can all see each other. That's great. Thank you. Construction hours 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's our basic Monday through Friday construction hours. I don't have the noise ordinance in front of me, but I think the Saturday hours are slightly less than that. We also do grant exceptions to that for specific construction activities when necessary to keep the project going. I mean, that's the answer to the first question. I mean, I think there is clearly a breakdown in communication. I think that can be obviously fixed. You know, from the city's perspective, we are anxious to keep this project moving. We don't want to drag it out. We clearly want to make sure that everybody is following the rules and agreements that everybody agreed to at the beginning of the project. You know, we are not anxious to drag this project out. As you all know, we're in the midst of a housing crisis, and we're also kind of, from a philosophical point of view, like we're not sure that dragging this project out benefits anyone. We think let's get this construction done as quickly as possible and get the construction folks out of this neighborhood. So, you know, it's a delicate balance. Obviously, we agree with the speakers who talked about how we got to absolutely highest priority. We got to protect the health of the neighbors. And, you know, at the beginning of this, you know, the main point here, when we agree to conditions of approval, when we agree to certain construction methods and mitigations, we have to maintain those requirements and those commitments. I'm really confused about the communication. You know, it seems like we just need to get a very clear communication structure set up so that the neighbors know exactly who to call. I mean, I think one of that one chain they were describing, I mean, the administrative assistant to the city manager, it was the first place where the first call went. That would not be what I wouldn't recommend that as the chain of communication. If I heard
we've committed to doing just
yeah,
that.
no, okay. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus here. I'm just saying we got to just make sure the neighbors and the residents and everyone knows exactly how to, if they see. So we have the right people going out and looking at it.
Okay. All right. So other questions or comments? I'd like to say on behalf of the city and the county, I think that they'll be meeting offline and figuring out a communications protocol, and then we'll have very clear communications to the neighbors. And that means owners and occupants, so the people that are living there and the people that own property there that might be living off site, what the next steps are vis-a-vis communications, who to call for what, and we'll work very hard to be responsive to everybody. So want to assure you that. And if not, you've got my cell phone, you can call me. So other comments or questions for us tonight?
Yes, this is Linda again.
Hi.
I understand what the gentleman just say about not wanting to drag the project out, but you have to do the project right the first time. And if that means stopping the project for an indefinite period of time to get it right, it has to be done. Pushing something forward just because you want the trucks off the road and you feel that you need to solve the housing crisis for the Bay Area is not the right answer. It is important, I will give you that. But what's more important is the health and welfare of the community of Alameda, and doing the project right and doing it according to the laws and regulations, environmental laws and regulations that stand in our community. So I would just like to remind you of that.
Understood and comment taken. And just as a reminder, we are preparing a response to comments document. Your comments will be noted and they will be responded to as part of the approval process of the cleanup plan for the Land Sea project. And what we'll do with this kind of this other stuff that's not related is just separate it out and say that we received this and we're dealing with that as well. So, okay, Doug Letterman has raised his hand and you'll have to unmute, Doug, if you would. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for this presentation. I was just curious, I received the mailing about this meeting, but is there a way I can receive email updates, like give my email address for future communications?
Absolutely. If you'll put your email in the chat, and if you don't want everybody to see it, you can direct it just to John Permani or Tracy Craig, and we'll keep a running list of people that are interested. Suzanne and Linda, I will get both of your emails offline. I have your phone number, so I'll follow up with you on that, and we'll start a communications chain and let you know. If that's your preferred way of us closing the loop, I'd be happy to, on behalf of the county, send out an update when we have this figured out, saying exactly what we'll be doing moving forward. We can send a series of updates. Okay?
Great, thank you.
Sure, of course. Thank you for attending. We know there's other things people could be doing.
I'd like to just put out as something that I think should be done on the site. And I'm going to direct this towards Brendan. I think you need a community website. GeoTracker is a database where technical documents are uploaded and directive letters from environmental health. But given the phases of this project, the timeline of this project, and the concerns that have been expressed by the community due to a breakdown in your operations, I think that it is appropriate that you have a website where people can go on and look at things, and that is updated continuously. Suzanne and Linda and Doug, does that seem like a good idea to you?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
Yeah, this is Suzanne. Yes, it is. And to address Andrew Thomas, why I had to call the city, because there was no signs on the property in June and July saying who to contact. There was no website, no nothing. So the only person I was trying to get to was actually Andrew, because he's the only one I saw who knew everything from the city's perspective at the city council meetings in the past. So that's why I called the city manager's office.
Got it. Okay.
When we have, Tracy, this is Brendan, we have a sign, but several signs, but unfortunately they were more interior to the site, and we recognized that was not the best place. So Suzanne and Linda, if you were to drive down Clement Avenue, you'd see that our sign is well displayed right at the intersection of Clement and Schiller Avenue, with a cell phone number on there that's on 24/7. So we apologize, that sign should have been in a much more prominent place. It is now. And we have a website, but we will work with Tracy Craig on our website and making sure that it's available and accessible to the community with updates.
Okay, so website coming. Other thoughts? I'll give you a minute. Okay, well, I would like, first of all, I'd like to say on behalf of the county, thank you so much for attending. Thank you for being gracious and alerting us to a problem and giving us the time and space to fix it. You know we let you down, and we plan to work to earn your trust. So we greatly appreciate your time tonight. As I said, my phone number is in the chat. You can call me. I do answer my phone. And if I am not available, I usually call back within a very short time because I really want you folks to be satisfied. And we will work very hard to do that. Okay. And with that, Dylan, did you want to say anything?
I'm just going to piggyback on Tracy. Tracy is your eyes and ears. As a matter of fact, everybody is your eyes and ears. I am going to hold everybody on this teleconference call accountable. But Tracy is a good advocate, and she has a direct line to me. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear if something's going on. We're going to work on trying to make it right, but I still need to hear from you if something is not happening. So appreciate you all. I am sorry that this is happening, and we will get this corrected, and we will work to get this construction project back up and running in an appropriate manner so that they can get out of your community, but not impact you all the way along.
Okay. All right, everybody. I just want to say Nicole just popped in the chat box, said working hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it looks like they're cleared for Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That is just to repeat what Dylan said, there will be no work going on right now other than covering stockpiles and doing site maintenance work. There'll be no heavy construction work till a plan is in place to manage and control dust. So I want to thank you again, and I hope everybody has a nice evening.
Thank
And
you,
I'll
Tracy.
stay on if anybody wants to talk afterward, was too embarrassed to talk in a group. Everybody, team can go, I'll hang out for a few more minutes. Thank you. Good night.
Everybody. Night.